Hello everyone. We are talking today about women's rights. Now, more importantly, in this current climate, we're also talking about their access to things such as birth control. Now, most people can normally name about 5 options of birth control that they know of pretty well. However, there's a couple options that we might not hear about as often. So today we're going to be talking more deeply about the most taboo form of birth control, which is sterilization. Now, people hear about sterilization in passing. They may hear it as a joke of, oh, you should get your tubes tied. They might hear it in more of an aggressive, derogatory state as well. So, especially right now with abortion being a hot topic, you should have thought about that sooner before you had kids, or if you don't want children, you should either close your legs or get your tubes tied. Now, this can also go vice versa for someone who has a lot of children, where they'll say, well, you have way too many children, you should get your tubes tied. It's used as almost an insult, a derogatory mass statement for women who should make this choice, or someone should make it for you. Now, let's say these women are listening to this and they're saying, well, maybe you're right. Maybe I don't want children. Maybe I don't want to do birth control. I don't want to do hormones. What can I do? Well, you could look at doing actual sterilization. Now, let's say you decide to do this. You would go to your OBGYN and you would say, hey, I don't want children. I've thought this through and I looked at all of my other options. They just don't work for me. This is the choice I want to make. And so then your OBGYN would say, cool, let's do it. Wrong. Unfortunately, OBGYNs aren't that ready to do this procedure as readily. They have their own personal biases they're going to stand by. They're going to stand by religious bias. And overall, they just don't want to do the surgery. They're scared of the regret of it. So if I can't have this choice, why is it taken from me when it's offered next to birth control pills, the shot, the patch, and also sterilization is listed among them? But if I go and request it, it's not an option. Does it make sense? Today I'm here to tell you that a doctor should not be able to just dismiss your choice in your reproductive birth control options, regardless of what choice that is. In 1960s, birth control first showed up. The most known one would probably be the pill. Of course, now in later days, there's also the patch, IUDs, which are intrauterine devices. You can get an injection, but all of these have hormones that are put into your body. So side effects are the biggest thing people are worried about when they go on birth control. In my case, I was put on Depo-Provera for longer than 5 years. Now, originally I was 15, and I should not have been left alone in that room with a OBGYN who didn't go into detail about what side effects are involved, what other options do I have, and they didn't talk about any consequences that could come of it. Now, I was only given 2 options, the pill or a shot. That's it. And now this was only 2013, so this wasn't in the 60s, this wasn't in the 70s. This is in today's day when we have access to these options, but apparently we don't. In my case, the birth control I was on ended up wreaking havoc on my body. It made it to where I was tossed into early menopause at the age of 20. Now, with that, it also made it to where I couldn't be on man-made hormones anymore. So if I can't do hormonal birth control, what options do I have? Well, my OBG said, well, you could do, condoms. That's a thing. Or you could do a copper IUD. That's non-hormonal. So we looked into that a little bit, and I'll show you with this. So a copper IUD is a T-shaped device that goes into the uterus, and it sits there. Now, the copper in it makes the biome of the uterus toxic. So your reproduction cannot happen. It's too toxic for anything to survive. Now, this also has some pretty nasty side effects of continuous bleeding. You could also have continuous cramping that lasts for months. and also more dangerous and deadly side effects of the IUD embedding itself into the walls of the uterus, where it has to be surgically removed. And a lot of times this can result in women losing ovaries and even their whole reproductive system itself. So that's a choice, and they'll let me make that choice. Now, unfortunately, my OBG, who I had known for years, was not able to perform this surgery for me, even though I had never changed my mind in the 7 years I've known her. She did, however, state that the organization she worked for was a religious-based organization, and being that I was under 24, I didn't have any children, and I wasn't married, they wouldn't let me do it. So my doctor was able to just say I can't, and leave it at that. This led me down the route of finding what options I do have, what resources are available, which led me to the Child Free by Choice movement. This is women who have decided that children are not for them. A lot of times this is made up by millennials at this time. They're normally 20 to 27 who just don't want children. Now, they've kind of strung together this movement because you can hear time after time of these women being told, you can't make that choice. The doctors sometimes will audibly laugh at them for bringing it up, and they just don't have that option. So they've already compiled a list of doctors who are willing to do this procedure, and it's almost like a safety net for women who need resources. Now, the College of Obstetricians and Gynecology stated in April of 2017, it is ethically permissible to perform a requested sterilization in nulliparous women and young women who do not wish to have children. So that's already stated in their college, their guidelines. So why is it still being denied? A lot of doctors are naming the risk of regrets. They're also naming that this could possibly be financially a thing, and also personal bias. Personal bias seems to be the biggest one we were seeing. They're gonna say that it's, what if you regret it? Well, people get plastic surgery all the time and they regret it, but they can't go out and just sue their doctor. They still do the procedure, even if the doctor's kind of like, I don't know. They still let them do it. Now, on a YouTube channel, The Doctors, which was also a daytime TV show, they discussed this very topic. And OBGYN, Dr. Evelyn Minea, actually states, while talking to a 24-year-old woman who had sterilization, that how does she know that you have the capacity to make this decision or this choice for yourself? And that she would not permanently sterilize a young woman if they had not had a psychological evaluation, a consultation, and had really had the insight and the knowledge and proved it that they knew what choice they were making. Now, this was as recent as January 10th, 2022. Going back to the ethics board hearing for the obstetricians and gynecology, they also had stated a request for sterilization in a young woman without children should not automatically trigger a mental health consultation. Although physicians understandably wish to avoid precipitating sterilization regret, they should avoid paternalism as well. Now, this was April 2017. So this OBGYN who is practicing is directly kind of just dismissing the recommendations from their own organization. There is no repercussions for this, unfortunately. They can make this choice and they can completely tell women you have no choice to this and that they will not do it. So what can we do about it? Well, today I'm urging you to raise your voice on this topic. Sterilization shouldn't be taboo. It's an option for women who may have health-related issues or may not be able to do hormonal birth control and who absolutely know they don't want children, and that option should be available to them. Even if you've had children, it should still be available to you. So voting takes a long time, but it's still a good option. But what you can do today, talk to your peers about it, talk to your family, talk to your community. Let's not make this such a taboo, scary thing when it shouldn't be looked at like that. This should be a normalized procedure just like anything else, but it should most importantly be your choice. Thanks.